Hello, my pet people. This is Leslie Sands with Dallas Pets Live and the Yappy Hour. And we are here this morning on episode 2 of the Yappy Hour with one of my most favorite people, Doc Aaron Schultz with Mazies Mission. And we are so excited to have you. Thank you for being my very first guest on the Yappy Hour.
Honored. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, we are here at the Yappy Hour, and I asked my guests to bring a beverage for us to enjoy while we have a lovely conversation. And we're drinking mimosas this morning on this Friday. Yes. And it's lovely. And we have a lot of great things to talk about. So let's get started. I want our audience to know all about you and Mazies Mission. So tell me, how in the world did you get into this field?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And it kind of was like a whirlwind for me. It's not like when I founded Mazies, I didn't think I was going to be where I am today. That wasn't my goal, was to have, a large veterinary hospital. It was more of we're talking 12 years ago. Okay. Yeah. So it was like actually it's 13, but, I just want to help, animals in the shelter, pull a few, make them better, adopt them out. But then as I kept talking to shelters and rescue groups and trying to figure out what their biggest obstacles were, I started to realize, wait a minute, we don't need just another rescue group. We don't need that. We need something that will help either, their problems with getting fosters and with getting, good vet care that's not going to break their bank.
Yes.
So,
amen.
Yeah. So I said, well, I can do one of those for sure. So that's how the rescue clinic was born. And again, it wasn't in our original mission statement at all, but it just kind of evolved to that. And we still keep changing what our mission statement is based on what we're learning, because we learn every day, right, in this industry. And so that's how we got to, okay, well, first we were in this small, space, 2,000 square feet, because I had no idea whether I was going to fall on my face or what. And I had, Emily, of course, who's amazing. She's been with me since the beginning. She quit a good corporate job with excellent insurance and benefits and just quit all that to come work with me. And it was just two of us. We jumped off this cliff together, and then it just kind of exploded. And within a few years, we had to move into this other space, which is twice as big. We've already outgrown that. So, we're working on our next phase. But it just kind of, as I said, it was a whirlwind. It was just like all just kind of came to this. And it's been really great. I mean, we've really helped a lot of animals and groups and it all, but we want to do it on a bigger scale going forward. So
absolutely. I remember when we started out, we're in 11 years now, so pretty similar, pretty close. And I knew nothing about, I volunteered with APA. I started VPA, and it just, I knew I needed vet partners that I could trust, because that's not my background. That's not I went to A&M. I should have. I regret that now, looking back. That was right there. I should have done it. Yeah. I say that all the time. But I knew I had to have vet partners that I could rely on, that weren't going to steer me in a direction, because when we started out, we had like nothing. We had nothing. And and it was important for me to save money and save animals at the same time, and being able to balance that and having those real conversations with somebody that understands where we're coming from as a rescue, because it's very, very different. And that's what makes Mazies so unique. It's so wonderful to work with from the rescue standpoint, because we have to have those partners.
Absolutely.
I think I saw you post a flyer on Facebook, like at some point back in the day, and we were just emailing or calling, and it was just a great fit. It was a great fit. And we've been partners together from that moment on. I mean, I didn't know how much money.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know.
Really don't want to know. But
so worth
every penny, because we get to trust who we are working with and the animals. We know that when we take them to you guys,
we to give you the tough cases.
I know.
Yeah.
I
we
see
give
that.
you the hard ones.
No, and that is a commonality that I hear from everybody. It's like, we just trust you and your staff. Like, they, of course, you can't bring everything to us, right? I mean, the fosters are everywhere, so you can't do that. But, and that's with other groups too, but we will have them come to us with a case they already took somewhere else. Right. And we're like, yeah, I'm just not feeling that. We trust you. We know you're going to do what needs to be done and not stuff that doesn't. We don't, just run tests willy-nilly,
right.
Which I'm not accusing other vets of doing that, obviously. But we know what's common in the rescue industry. We know what diseases there are, stuff like that. So we can kind of pinpoint better than a private practice who doesn't see this stuff as often. Right. So
let's talk about that for a second. The rescue
medicine versus private vet care. What is the difference there?
Well, I mean, it's kind of broad, I guess. Private practice, they do a lot of, vaccination talks, heartworm prevention talks, obesity talk. They have patients that they see for their entire lifetime, from a puppy to, when they're old and, they need to be put to sleep or whatnot. We don't have that. And it's actually one of the downsides, I think, of Mazies is that I don't get to see my patients long term. So I don't really have the obesity talk. I don't have the heartworm prevention talk, the flea talk, any of that, because our clients that come in are really veterans at that. They don't need to be told what heartworm disease is. They know what that is. And, if the dog they pull is fat, they know immediately it needs to lose weight. So it's not something that we have to deal with. But we deal with, hit by cars, which private practice doesn't deal with as much. I mean, they do a little bit, but that's more of like an emergency or urgent care type thing. We deal with a lot of, just cruelty cases, unfortunately. And a lot of just, skin wounds, a lot of hydrotherapy, a lot of Silvadine. I mean, we do, bandaging and all that stuff, which private practice doesn't see a whole lot. So it's just a different, it's the same medicine, but it is just in a different category, I guess. I mean, we do the vaccines and we, do the spay and the neuter and stuff, all that, but it's definitely, if you bring a private practice vet, a seasoned one into our clinic for a week, they're going to be a little overwhelmed just because, you have a patient come in that's got, upper respiratory disease, skin disease, heartworm disease. They're going to have all this stuff and you're going to go, where do I start? What do I treat first? And so it can be difficult. And the vets at Mazies are like, we know, we have a protocol and this is how it goes. So it's just different.
Yep. You can't even imagine. So let's talk about the vet situation as it states right now in this world. And it's just been really difficult to see it's impacted DPA in a way because we're seeing costs rise, not necessarily you, but we do have to go to other vets. And then even getting into those vets is harder, especially ER
after hours care.
That is where we really see a huge increase in our bottom line. And that is because there are less vets out there doing the work that needs to be done. It's so difficult. So let's talk a little bit about that. And then I want to talk about vet burnout too, because that's, I see that struggle and you see these posts all the time about, suicide and just, I'm out, I'm done. I mean, how can we prevent that? I mean, because you guys are so important for us. We can't do this work without vets.
Right. And as a veterinarian, I wish more people felt that way. Sure. But COVID was not our friend in the veterinary world. And it was already an issue before COVID, but it just got exacerbated with that. And I belong to a lot of veterinary groups on Facebook, and of course, all of them are just private practice or working in ER, whatnot. And how they describe owners treat them is I don't understand it. Veterinarians are not trusted anymore. They are blamed for a lot of stuff, and they're made to feel really guilty when they're there just to help, the pet and, the owner. And I think that's making a lot of people want to leave the industry because, we didn't get into veterinary medicine to be abused.
Sure.
And that is basically what's happening in these places. And of course, some, vets are struggling, and so they will take the abuse and make their associates take the abuse, and the associates are like, if I'm going to be treated this way, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Right.
So, I don't want to blame the public completely, but it is a very huge chunk of why veterinarians are like, I cannot do this anymore. Now, I will say that I think I told you we did have 3 vets at Mazies, and then I had a new vet come in January, and she ended up quitting last month because she just wants to get out of the industry.
Wow.
Like, it was not what she anticipated it to be.
Went to school, did all of
She's
that.
got so much debt, and I'm like, girl, I don't know what you're going to do. And she was an excellent doctor. She was very good, but she's only been out 3 years. And there was a study done that I think new grads, they're only lasting about 5 to 6 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, most of them are only lasting that long before they decide they can't do it anymore. And because it just isn't, they have this idealism that they're going to go and people are going to be appreciative of them and they're going to save all these animals. But there's euthanasia everywhere because people can't afford it anymore because the prices are so high. And it's, the people want their vet to be available 24/7, and that's just not plausible. Everybody needs some downtime, and I feel bad for like the large animal vets because they never get a day off. I mean, if you're out in the country and there's only one vet for 50 miles around, you're never. I mean, forget having a family. So it's just, I don't know what the answer is there because we're not going to change a population of people to stop doing what they're doing. But I do think that we need in the vet schools to be telling people that it is not, this sunshine and rainbows thing that you're going to get into. You're going to have people that make you feel like crap and going to make you cry. And I personally in private practice had, somebody back me into a corner, huge guy, with his finger in my face, screaming at me. And, it happens. And that was like 20 years ago that happened. And I know I wouldn't make it a private practice unless I owned the clinic because we, as our staff knows, we don't put up with that. And we rarely have someone do anything because they're fosters and but we have it happen every once in a while. And so we have to, get out of the clinic. Sure. I'm not going to tolerate that. I mean, we're there to help you. And, it is, to me, it sounds a little obnoxious that it's a privilege to come into Mazies and us to pretty much, do whatever it is that you need with this pet. And if you're going to treat my staff poorly, you're not going to get to come back. And we've got a handful. But it is what it is. And, they are trying to open up more vet schools. They did open one up at Tech.
Yep,
so I think they have 2 years left before they have their first graduate, 2 or 3 years. I think this was just maybe the first year. So they have 3 years before they graduate their first class out of that. So that's going to help.
Sure.
But yeah, I think we just, as veterinarians, we need to just maybe get a little bit thicker skin and realize that people that you're seeing some of the worst times of people when they're upset. And
it's their animal.
And it's their family member. And it's their child. And you can act really, really poorly when it's your child.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I personally have yelled at ER staff when my baby was in there. So I just think it needs to be said in vet school.
But as pet owners, we need to be much more appreciative and much more aware in putting ourselves in the vet's shoes, vet tech shoes, because they're doing really tough. You guys are doing tough work and having really hard conversations that we don't get to have, and I can't even imagine. Yeah. And so just keep that in mind whenever you're going and visiting your vet and you're bringing your dog or cat in, and just know that they're trying to do their very best, and we just need to keep on talking about that.
Right.
And provide that grace, provide that just understanding and putting yourselves in their shoes. I think we have to start doing that as customers, as pet owners going into a vet. I agree. All right, let's switch and talk about something a little more positive. I know we have saved a ton of animals together over the years. Oh my gosh. I don't even know. Yeah. How is there one that like stands out to you? Do you remember a case that we've done together that really kind of just?
Well, there's so many. I mean, we've been doing it for so long, and I know there are some that are probably more, more positive than others or whatnot. But we had one last year that just resonated with me.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember Kai, who was a young husky.
Yes. Yes.
That they were trying to do the right thing. The family was just really trying to do the right thing. And they were getting estimates that were just way too much for them. The dog ate something, swallowed something. It happens, you know?
Yeah.
And so when they came to us, we were able to, help them and help you help them.
Yeah.
And when Kai walked up to the lobby, the little boy just burst into tears. He was so happy. I know. So it just resonated with me. I'm like, oh my God, this is like why we do it, right? It's like why we do it. It's not about the money.
Nope.
I don't even know how much we charged you for that. I mean, I don't know.
I don't even know anymore. I don't even say
but it was not to the point that you couldn't do it, right?
Right.
I mean, and so it's just things like that. And then what was another one that the one that we just did yesterday. You guys were at Dallas Animal Services, and a dog came in as a cruelty case.
Yes.
Somebody shot this dog.
Yep, that's right. I was hoping you were going to bring that up.
Yes, and his name's Mars. And y'all said, "Nah, that dog's not spending another day in this shelter."
No.
And am I correct in that they're looking at cruelty charges on these people?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Whoever shot this dog shattered his leg to the point. I mean, we had to amputate it yesterday. But yeah, it's stuff like that, that that you can pull animals like that, knowing that you can bring that pet to Mazies, and we're going to recommend what's the right thing to do. And I mean, I saw on some notes that someone was recommending swimming that leg. I'm like, that's not. I mean,
I saw the video.
It's just going to be a waste. I mean, why would you do this?
Yes.
Leg is shattered into like dozens of pieces. It's just not going to work. So we aren't going to go that way. We're going to go. That's going to be a month of pain, a month of money. That's not going to go anywhere. Just get the leg off. The dog's not going to care. They really don't.
They don't. Doctors love a tripod. Let's be real.
Absolutely.
Come on now.
So sweet. And I always, it's amazing how these animals go through stuff like that, and they still like people.
Yeah, I know, right? Can I be more like an animal, please?
Right?
And hold that inside against humans. Yeah.
But yeah, that was just when I found out he was a cruelty case. I was like, oh no. So I'm glad they're going forward with at least
something.
Trying
to. And that is hard to do. That's a whole other conversation for another bottle of champagne.
Yeah, because I saw that video and Sarah was texting me about Mars, and he's got this scar on the top of his head too, and you can see the lumping, and anybody listening, go to our social media. You can see all the videos there of Mars. And I just thought to myself, like, how long has he been dealing with all this? And it just breaks your heart. But we picked him up from JS, and immediately we knew we were going to take to Mazies because we knew we could get
I don't think I stopped anywhere.
No, we didn't. No, she just went straight there. Straight there. And that happens a lot. We do that a lot. But that's the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
We know that in many of our situations, we like to focus on those medically needy cases, and you guys are our first stop before even going to the foster's home.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how we treat our own rescue program, is like the fosters aren't even going to see the pet until we've done a full checkup on it, which y'all do too, especially on the ones that are like that. And, there's not a ton of groups that do that focus on those type of cases. But we need groups like that.
Yes.
That will look, so when you think about it, probably 15 years ago, they wouldn't even try.
No.
Not even tried to place that dog. But now it's different because we have groups like BPA that focus on that. And we need the groups that pull the nice fluffies too. I mean, we need those too. So, groups like you can focus on the tough cases.
Yes.
But it's just so neat to see groups be able to do that because of the collaboration.
Absolutely.
Between groups. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Is collaboration. We're all doing it for, the right reasons. So let's work together.
Yes.
Not act like we are,
competing. This is not that type of situation.
It is not. So, I love seeing cases like that. Obviously, that's like my fave.
Yeah.
I'm always like, what do I get to do here? But yeah, I mean, that's a couple of the cases that just come to mind.
Sure.
Of course, they were more recent. We've been doing this together forever. But there are many, many, many more like that.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go back to Kai for a second, because I want to talk about, because it's really what Mazies does, and you guys did us a huge solid, you only see rescue cases. Right. So you do not see private clients, and I'm sure everybody got that from our conversation already, but through our past program, back, I think in 17, 18-ish, we came to you and said, hey, we're starting this program, Positive Alternatives to Shelter Surrender. We're helping pets stay with family members. We have to have a vet partner for them to go to that's not going to break the bank for us. Really, you will allow us to bring owned pets into Mazies through our past program. And I know that's been a roller coaster ride, because you really get to see the client. I mean, oftentimes our volunteers, our staff don't even get to see them. We have conversations with them. We talk to them via email, phone, but they walk in with you first, and you rely on your eyes and ears as to what's really happening here, because there are some times that we get clients that might not
really want to follow the rules, but they don't tell us that on the phone.
Right.
And we
We're
can't
not being completely honest with you.
Exactly. So
we're so thankful and grateful that you've allowed us to bring our past clients to Mazies. But so Kai was one of the good ones.
Yes.
And
I don't.
Oh, well, that's fine. That's totally fine. Because that is so important, because you get to see the human side of it, and the son, and being so happy, and just keeping those families together. But we could not do past without Mazies, because you allow us to save. And we've seen a lot here lately. I will say this year, especially, the medical cases coming through the past line have
just almost doubled in cost. It's been crazy.
Goodness.
It has been crazy. And the asks that we get,
we can't say no. We can't say yes all the time. And it just breaks our heart. But we're able to say yes more, because we know we're getting the best cost possible through you guys, and the best care possible. And you're also talking to the clients and to the families that have no idea often. They've never brought their animal to a vet before.
And it's
there's
just
already
crazy.
A preconceived
notion,
distrust.
Sure,
we see that a lot, and most of them leave feeling much better.
Good.
most of them do. It's just human nature. You're going to have a percentage of people that just, don't want to follow the rules or don't want to do what they're told to do or whatever. You all have been really good at, making sure these people understand that, hey, you're getting free care.
Mm-hmm. Free care.
And, free good care.
Yes.
So be appreciative of that.
Yes.
And, the vast majority of them are just so thankful. But it's really neat to see. I mean, we talked about it as, as a staff, do we want to start having, the public come in here because we were so focused on, the not public. And we decided, let's give it a shot. And however many 5 years ago or whatever that was. And, it has been kind of ups and downs and stuff. But it's worked out really well. Like the past few years have been really great because y'all have been sending us some really neat people and some really neat cases. And they have done, everything they could beforehand. And, they're, they want to help if they're going through the motions of contacting you guys and going through all that. And it is neat to see that. It just was a niche that we didn't think that we were going to fill, but we did. As I said, we are learning, we are evolving as a group and, as a business. And we're just trying to help in the areas that need help. And that the PASS program is huge in that. I mean, I believe that every PASS patient that has come into our facility would either have been euthanized or put into the shelter. Absolutely. Yep. So however many hundreds of pets that you have kept, probably, if we're doing it 5 years, you're probably over 1,000.
Oh, we're over 1,000.
Yeah, absolutely. That you have prevented going into the shelter and then the shelter having to deal with it, or, this animal being put to sleep with something that's totally treatable.
Totally treatable.
I mean, y'all have avoided that. And that's amazing.
It is really neat. One of my favorite programs that we offer because you get to see the human side of it and the animal side of it, and it's both. It really is. We can't do one without the other.
Right.
So, what is on the horizon for Mazies? Tell me. I mean, you clearly are adapting and moving and meeting the need of where we are right now, because Lord knows that it's changed dramatically in the past 3 years. So I want to know all these big plans, Doc.
Well, we have decided that we want to move from our facility that we have now, which is 4,000 square feet, into a freestanding building. Okay. That's going to be about 13,000 square feet.
Wow.
So we have a plot of land picked out, and we have renderings of the hospital, etc. We're on the first, workings on a capital campaign called Cure Them All. And it is a $10 million campaign.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, it's a big ask, but we have some foundations we're working with very closely. We're going through a feasibility study right now. Okay. So we'll know probably by September, kind of what, the feeling is with the public, the donors, on whether they feel like this is needed or whatnot. I mean, of course, we all know it's needed, but you got to convince the public and people who have the capacity to make that happen. They have to agree. Yes. But we're planning in this facility to have, a separate little forensic center, because I've been having to do all my forensic exams in the middle of the clinic, and that is really not going well. So we need more space for that. We're going to have a training facility for rescues, and probably seeing how it goes first, maybe having training for people who adopt. So if you adopt an animal, then you can get low-cost training.
Cool.
Through us. And then, and then a physical therapy area, because that is it's a niche that, that is just not being met. It's just not being met. Yeah. So for rescues anyway. So have that, and then just have, an adoption center and stuff like that. So that's kind of where we're at. Our lease is up next July. Already. Okay. And that will be, we've been there 4.5 years already. I felt like we just moved.
I literally feel like we just moved.
Yeah. So
That's crazy.
we're definitely not going to have this ready by next year, but we do hope maybe in 25.
Well, thank you so much, Doc, for coming in. So when we're in here, hiding me, I've never been on a fucking before. Well, I might bring you back later for another episode. Some other point. I feel like we had some really good conversations, but I think we can talk about some other topics too, more in depth, which we will do over more beverages. And think of bringing the mimosas this morning, and I am so looking forward to seeing all of the wonderful things that you have on the horizon for Mazies. If you ask me during your feasibility study, if all of it is worth it, I will 100% say that every penny of it is worth it. So
I think so. Yeah,
I know you are, and I am too. Can you please add on some 24-hour overnight vet care as well? That is.
I understand. Trust me, I have been asked that. Nope. I know. And I've been asked for boarding, and I'm not sure we can do the boarding, but the overnight care is something that we are definitely looking into. I actually want to start partnering with A&M's vet school and having externs. We'll have an apartment in the new clinic.
Awesome.
So we'll have that's part of their externship.
Okay.
Is to stay overnight, and then for their fourth year vet students. So I mean they're months away from being full-fledged vets, and then we'll have a tech there, of course, too, overnight.
That's
so we'll basically have overnight care, which is a huge thing. We hate telling people, hey, they got to be out of here on Friday. You got to get out of here. We hate that so much, but what are you going to do? What are we going to do? Yeah. So, if the animal needs care, they need, overnight care, they need to go somewhere that gives that. So it is on the horizon. So you might get your wish.
Yeah. Keep my fingers crossed. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and have a wonderful day. We're going to talk about, in just a moment, the one adoptable pet, because I always like to leave you guys with a adoptable that you can go check out from Dallas Pets Live at our website. Please follow us on all the social medias. Please follow Mazies Mission as well. And they are wonderful and doing great work. Please check them out, and please adopt and don't shop.
Yes, ma'am.
So our adoptable pet for this episode is Miss Diamond. She is a sweetheart. She came to us back in October of 2022. So we've had her quite a while, but she is, of course, we're talking medical in this episode. So she was a medical case that we took in from Mesquite Animal Services. She came to us with a toe issue in her metacarpal, and her surgery to fix that toe was $5,000. And of course, we did this through Mazies. And she's had several bandage changes and lots of other things going on. So in total, we're pushing almost $10,000 in medical care for Miss Diamond, but she is such a sweetheart and so worth it. She's up for adoption. We would love to find her a forever home. She is great with other dogs, knows all these commands. She would be a great fit to your home. Come check her out here at the Adoption Container at Community Bear Company, or you can go to our website at dallaspetsalive.org, click on our adopt button, and you can search for Miss Diamond right there. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and don't forget, please be the person your pet thinks you are. And don't forget, pet people, to email the Yappy Hour at dallaspetsalive.org if you have ideas for our podcast, or if you would like to be on an episode or know of somebody that should be on our episode. Please let us know. We are open to suggestions. Thanks so much.